Ray Epps sued Fox News for defamation on Wednesday, seeking unspecified amount of damages. Via the New York Times. The complaint was filed in Superior Court in Delaware, where Fox was recently handed a $787.5 million judgment in a separate defamation case brought against the network by Dominion Voting Systems to combat claims that the company had helped to rig the 2020 election against Mr. Trump. Just as Fox had focused on voting machine companies when falsely claiming a rigged election, Fox knew it needed a scapegoat for January 6, the complaint says. It settled on Ray Epps and began promoting the lie that Epps was a federal agent who incited the attack on the Capitol. Fox News did not immediately respond when asked for comment. The suit is the latest legal complication for Fox News, which has been fighting lawsuits on a number of fronts related to its coverage of the 2020 election and Mr. Trump's false insistence that he was cheated of victory. They include a $2.7 billion suit from a second voting technology company, Smartmatic, and two separate claims by Fox Corporation shareholders. Another lawsuit from a former producer for Mr. Carlson, which Fox settled on June 30 for $12 million, alleged that he condoned and encouraged a toxic workplace. These 8 Trump supporters are serving years in prison for touching a giant Trump sign that was thrown at police on January 6, 2021. No officers were injured in what the government ruled was an assault on police. Ray Epps was also filmed hurling this sign at police, but for some reason was never charged with a crime. Earlier this year, 60 Minutes ran an entire fluff piece on Ray Epps, defending his conduct leading Trump supporters to the U.S. Capitol, breaking through 2 sets of barriers, and urging Trump supporters to enter the U.S. Capitol on January 6. 60 Minutes ran an entire segment defending Ray Epps and never once mentioned his criminal assault that day. The fake news outlet hid this from the American public. In his testimony before the sham January 6 committee on January 21, 2022, insisted I don't break the law and it's not in my DNA. But this was not true. Ray Epps was not being honest in his testimony under oath to Liz Cheney's sham committee. Ray Epps, a likely federal cutout, was never arrested despite leading crowds to the U.S. Capitol and taking part in a criminal assault. Today several men are sitting in prison for touching the sign that passed over their heads that Ray Epps was hurling at police. As Kelly Wild reported earlier, anyone who touched the sign, an enormous battering ram according to prosecutors, was denied bond and subject to lengthy prison sentences. Ray Epps also led the charge through 2 sets of police barriers at the U.S. Capitol on January 6. In April, the Gateway pundit's Jim Hoft joined Steve Bannon on the War Room to discuss this latest evidence of criminal conduct by Ray Epps caught on video. Steve Bannon challenged Ray Epps to come on with the Gateway pundit or the War Room and face this audience. Here is the video from Tuesday's War Room on frank speech. Ray Epps was never charged for pushing this massive sign at the police on January 6. The individuals below were not as lucky. These 8 men were charged with an average of 3 years in prison for touching this sign as it passed over their heads on January 6. Ray Epps walks free today. You can donate to Sean McHugh here. These men are serving years in prison for touching the sign, over 16 years total combined. The average sentence for these men is around 3 years in prison for touching the sign that Ray Epps hurled at police. This is absolute tyranny. Our government is openly attacking its citizens. Although many were trying to avoid being hit by it themselves, Epps clearly shoves the sign so hard that it knocks McHugh's mom to the ground. Ray Epps is a free man tonight.